Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Interfaith Roundtable webinar, Spiritual Care During COVID-19. Normally, we would have this training in person. You'll be able to see each other. However, we are able to provide this via Zoom today, and we are happy for everyone to join us today. We know that your time is valuable, and there's many Zoom meetings out there you could attend, so we appreciate your time today. My name is Jessica Delgado, and I am the coordinator at ADAPT at Family Connections. And I just want to reiterate a little bit of what Joelle said. If you could keep your mics, your microphones muted while we're having the presentation. At the end, you will have an opportunity to ask a few questions. If you could just type in as we go along, you can type in your questions in the Zoom group chat box on your screen. And then we could look over those questions and at the end try to answer some of those questions. If for whatever reason we're not able to answer your question today, we will take note of it and send it through email, your responses. This webinar will take about an hour. We apologize in advance for any technical glitches that may occur. Today's webinar is hosted by, excuse me, the ADAPT Interfaith Committee. The ADAPT Interfaith Committee was established in 2014 with collaboration between ADAPT, the Essex County Department of Community Health Service, and the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. The mission is to empower faith-based leaders of Essex County to understand and engage in the issues affecting overall wellness in their communities. This committee is led by community members and leaders who work to expand access to and knowledge of substance abuse prevention and other health and wellness efforts within their communities. The chair is Ganera Curry, the vice chair is Michael Doherty, and the secretary is Demisha Barnes. So the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Team, which a lot of people refer to as ADAPT, is a coalition dedicated to reducing underage drinking and drug abuse throughout Essex County. We empower youth and adult community members and partners to improve prevention and awareness, while also advocating for local and countywide changes in policy, programs, and practices. Our vision is to improve the safety and health of all Essex County residents. ADAPT is managed by Family Connections. Family Connections is a leading New Jersey nonprofit that supports children, adults, and families facing many of life's toughest challenges. Family Connection changes lives through a variety of programs to counter trauma, mental illness, addiction, domestic violence, child abuse, and more. So just to go over our agenda for today, we will do the, thank you. We will, we're gonna do some introductions next. We're gonna then do a virtual icebreaker to get to know each other a little bit better. Then we'll have a presentation by Laverne Williams of the PEWS Program at the Mental Health Association in New Jersey. Then we'll have our think tank time, and lastly, our closing. Okay, so for attendance purposes, if you could type in the chat box your name and your organization, and I know there's a lot of callers on here. So if we could, you can just quickly say your name and your organization. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Hamal Strayhorn. I am the director for the Office of Social Justice and Diversity at Montclair State University.
Okay.
Good morning, I'm Gisela Lawi. I'm the perinatal addiction prevention specialist at the Partnership for Maternal and Child Health of Northern New Jersey.
Francis Dixon, the New Hope Baptist Church.
Gwinnera Curry, a faith-based leader with Christ Church and also organization Enjoying Life Fully.
Good morning, my name is Julia Reboredo. I'm the ADAPT coordinator for the Older Adults Program.
Good morning, my name is Elder Teresa Harris from Jehovah Jireh Praise and Worship Church Center in Newark, New Jersey.
Good morning. My name is Donna Owusu-Ansah. I'm a chaplain from Haven Hospice, part of the Hackensack Meridian Health family, and a associate minister at New Hope Baptist Church in Metuchen.
Hi, good morning. My name is Isabel Martinez. I work for the Institute for Prevention and Recovery, the STAR program, and I work for the Essex County community. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Yolanda Mack. I'm here on behalf of Greater Newark Healthcare Coalition as well as Jehovah Jireh Praise and Worship Church Center.
Bishop Victor A.J., New Vision Baptist Church.
Hi, this is Lynette Sheard, a community coordinator at the Mental Health Association in New Jersey, director of the New Jersey Mental Health Players.
John Rogers, a volunteer with the Mental Health Players and a member of the Melbourne Alliance.
Laverne Williams, director of the PEWS Program, Mental Health Association in New Jersey.
Hi, Tracy Storms Mizuko, Center for Prevention and Counseling and Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey.
Good morning, I'm Elise McCochran, and I'm also with the Center for Prevention and Counseling, and I'm the Northern Regional Coordinator for Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey.
Good morning. Paul. Good morning, Paula Blanton, licensed clinical social worker, SAC for East Orange Campus High School.
Good morning. Elizabeth.
Good morning.
Go ahead. Good morning, Elizabeth Marks, Essex County Municipal Alliance Coordinator for the county.
Good morning, Emlyn Falcon, Youth Prevention Specialist for ADAPT.
Good morning, Ashley Cruz, Health Educator at Montclair Health Department.
Good morning, my name is Zakaya Stewart. I'm a nutrition educator at the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, my name is Eva Perez. I'm also a nutrition educator for the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, my name is Kyla Sutton, and I'm also a nutrition educator for the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, Candace Carter, nutrition educator for the Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, my name is Cecilia Gomez, nutrition educator for the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, I'm Gabriela Rocha, nutrition educator for the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, I'm Victoria Galarza from the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, my name is Maria Lopez. I'm a nutrition educator for the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning, my name is Armando Cruz, also a nutrition educator for the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.
Good morning. My name is James Johansson, Director of Program Services at Damon House in New Brunswick, New Jersey, service the whole state.
Christine Biza, Older Adult Prevention Specialist with ADAPT.
Good morning, this is Sheena, Dance in JCRI.
All right, good morning, everyone. Joel Torres, the manager of the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Team. I think for the fact that we have 56 people on the call and the fact that it is an electronic Zoom meeting, this went very smoothly. If you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself, I'd just say please type in your information in the chat box. But for now, I'll pass it back on to Jessica so that we can continue with the presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Deacon Ingalls.
How are you?
Just as a housekeeping reminder for everyone, I'm going to mute everyone right now as we start and pass it back on to Jessica Delgado. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. I just want to take, excuse me. I just want to take a few minutes to recognize those that are right now that are helping the first responders in this pandemic that we're having currently. I want to recognize and thank those that are, in the hospital delivering food, everyone that's helping out, volunteering and helping those in need, praying for those that are ill and that are in the process of recovering, and also praying for those that we have lost during this pandemic. So you can join me just for like 30 seconds, just to a moment of silence to recognize those and thank those. Thank you. So I'd like to welcome everyone to our roundtable again. If you are just joining us, just please put your name and organization in the chat box, and we will proceed to our next agenda item, which is our Icebreaker Activity. So for our Icebreaker Activity, we're going to separate you into smaller groups via virtually. Before you go there, there's 2 questions that we would like you to talk with your other members in your group about. One, why are you here today? What is it that you would like to learn, or why are you interested in attending today? And second, how are you assisting faith-based members or community members at this moment during the pandemic? So Joelle is going to separate you, put you into random rooms, and you will be able to have about 5 minutes to chat with each other. And then we'd like you to choose a speaker for your group. That one person will share the summary of what you discussed when we come back to the larger group. Okay, if you have any questions, you can always send a message through the chat and we will get back to you. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Would anyone like to start to share what you learned about each other during your small breakout rooms?
I can start. So I was in a group with a lot of my colleagues, but we were also joined by Miss Paula. I don't remember her last name at the moment, but basically everyone in our group just discussed how they're in the recruitment process of basically trying to figure out, or rather identify, faith-based organizations that might benefit from our free nutrition education classes and programming. And Ms. Paula spoke about how she typically offers many services to her staff and families, but now she's leveraging having to do that virtually. She also discussed that she's involved with her church as a Sunday school teacher. So we each just kind of shared where we are with the faith-based organizations that we're connected with. And again, most of us are either in the recruitment stages. I know for me, I'm actually kind of on pause in a way. We have a program called Faithful Families, where we work with faith-based organizations to provide nutrition education classes, but also to get them to work with churches to be a little more aware of how physically active they are. That's where I am. I'm on pause right now because I had started some of that work before COVID. And so it's been a little difficult with all that's happening, but hopefully once things smooth out, I'll be able to kind of dive back into the work.
This is Gloria Fisher from Group 7, I believe. And we did have 2 of the nutrition educators as well for the community faith-based organization, and that was Gabrielle and Victoria. And we have Felix, who works in Jersey City and really working on a grant right now for helping people with cancer. And I myself work for a food pantry at my church, and we're all just kind of trying to figure out what we can help people through this process while we're trying to get back to some type of normalcy.
Thank you, Gloria. Anyone else?
This is Gwinnera for Group 11. We had a very diverse group. We had Bishop Agi, I hope I'm enunciating that properly. We also had our host presenter, Laverne. We had Liz from the Municipal Alliance, and we had a community health worker, forgive me, I forgot your name, and myself. And so in our discussion, we acknowledged that most of us were there to learn. Most of us are here today to learn about what is available, how to re-equip ourselves, as well as bridge the gaps, look at and identify the vital parts of the community that is looking for assistance, and how we can provide those. Bishop G talked about, he has a program within his church that supports those that have had substance abuse and continuing their life thereafter. And then Liz talked a little bit about being kind of the agent that brings information back to all of the municipal alliances throughout the county of how they can connect or provide information to their faith-based leaders. So that we didn't get to the second question. So.
Thank you, Gwinnera. Anyone else?
Good morning, this is Francis Dixon. I was with Group 3, and our discussion was basically why were we here? And there was consistency. We had Deacon Frank online, Lynette, Yolanda, John, and I think the thing I came away with in those few moments we were together is that, Yolanda said it verbally, we're to some extent somewhat overwhelmed. And though we provide services to others, this is an opportunity for us to fill our tank and to be with others who are going through this COVID-19 and try just to draw near and get resources and maybe come out re-energized.
Thank you, Deacon Dixon. That's great. Anyone else?
I'm all Strayhorn. We really didn't get to, I think we got into it late. We were Group 6, and we were unsure how the conversation was going to be going. But we did talk about the second part, and I know that I shared that though I'm a minister, I'm not a full-time pastor, in a church, but one of the things that I've been doing with our college campus and having conversations around faith and COVID is I do these difficult dialogues for our campus, and we moved to doing it via Zoom. And one of the conversations we've been talking about being faithfully distant, and instead of using socially distant, faithfully distant, and our responsibility as individuals who are of our various different traditions, helping others in the community understand around being physically distanced, but not being disconnected socially. And how do we do that? And we had conversations really around some articles that have been coming out around churches and different groups that are continuing to meet as large groups. And what does that mean for people that are a part of those groups, and how can we I think I went mute. I'm sorry. I think I went mute, but just being connected together, and also just having some conversations about xenophobia and racism that can come up, and how do we as a faith-based groups reach out and be a part of that as well and speak out against that.
Thank you, Hannah. Next.
Hi, Demetricia, breakout room number 9. So there was 5 people in my group, and we talked about our roles at our various organizations. We had recovery support specialists, church deacons, and community representatives. And we're primarily trying to adapt to this remote experience with the people that we serve, and we're just hoping to grab some more innovative ideas and to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the whole person.
Thank you, Demetricia.
You're welcome.
Next. Joelle, how many groups did we have?
There were 11 groups.
11 groups, okay. Does anyone else want to share?
Well, I don't remember what group number I was, but I definitely was with community members that are faith-based, and also I believe treatment community, providing substance abuse treatment. And I think what we all kind of talked about was the importance of, like many of you have said, bringing information into that community and promoting through our social media, let it be Facebook. I know I'm always constantly looking to see what services are available so that people can have access to that, and just promoting the spiritual base, different spiritual base practices, and for everyone to have access to their fingertips. So I know we're doing that and getting all the information available on coronavirus, food.
Giselle, I can't hear you. I think something happened with the mic. All right. Well, thank you, Giselle. Anyone else? Any other group that wants to share? No? Okay. Well, I'll share from the group I was in. I was in a group with Christine, James from Damien House, Maria from the Community Food Bank, and Sheena from NJCRI. These are all various community providers. And they talked about, the need, as everyone else is saying, the need to provide services in this completely different landscape, the increased need, concrete needs such as food. Damien House, I think James mentioned, was just recently gave away like 50,000 bagels, and just the need to connect and to figure out how best to service those in need and those in our community. All right. Oh. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
I could hear you, Jess.
Okay. So did you hear what I said about the small group?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe Giselle is having some problems with her audio.
You resolved it. We're good.
Oh, okay.
We can all listen to you.
Okay. All right. So last call for any other small groups that want to share.
Yes. I was in a group with Emmeline, Armando Cruz, and Jessica Elisi, I believe. And we were discussing about like the challenges that the pandemic brought us. Unfortunately, Armando works with the food bank and he was not able to provide the services as before because the faith-based members are not funding.
Omar, Papi, can you help me?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So yes, everybody is experiencing the same social conditions that we're going through right now. So we're trying to provide online services with the app, and hopefully we're all working on strategies to go back to our normal routines. Yes, you're mute.
Jessica, make sure to unmute yourself.
Hello? Hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to move on to our presentation portion. Laverne S. Williams is the director of the PEWS program for the Mental Health Association in New Jersey. Ms. Williams is a certified social worker, RAP facilitator, mental health first aid instructor, and certified grief recovery specialist. With more than 35 years of experience in the mental health service, Ms. Williams is a highly sought after conference keynote and workshop facilitator. Her workshops have been presented to numerous statewide and local agencies, consumer organizations, and family member groups. As an advocate on behalf of persons with mental illness and a deacon at her church, Ms. Williams diligently develops partnerships between faith-based communities and the behavioral health institutions. Most recently, Ms. Williams is quoted in the April 2017 #1 best-selling book, Option B, Facing Adversity, Building Resilience and Finding Joy by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant. So I'd like to present to you Ms. Laverne Williams.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for attending. I hope I can deliver what you're looking for. And if not, well, you can't come and get me, so that's number one.
Laverne, just, I'm sorry, just some quick housekeeping. A reminder, everyone, please keep yourself on mute, and I will be sharing the control access with Laverne now, so she should have the ability to work through the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I think at this point in time in our history, this gives a brand new meaning to a captive audience. So you're here with me now, and I thank you for that. I'll be starting the presentation shortly. Again, I'm with the Mental Health Association in New Jersey. I've been there since 1985. I started there as a very young girl. And okay, I can see you smiling, but you're not smiling. All right, no more jokes for today. Thank you again for being here. And I thank you, Joelle and the ADAPT family for enabling me to be part of this discussion. The Mental Health Association in New Jersey, we are actually the go-to place for persons who are experiencing anxiety and depression. Joelle, I'm not sure what's happening. I'm want to be sharing, but as a good presenter, when in doubt, always print out your presentation. Okay, so the presentation is, there we go. We're going to talk a little bit about the 10 commandments for coronavirus prevention in faith communities. But before we get to that, I wanted to just give a shameless plug to the New Jersey Mental Health Cares line. As I said, we are the go-to place. So if you're concerned about someone with a mental health, concerned about your mental health or the mental health of someone you care about, please call our New Jersey helpline. We will connect you with a live operator from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. And there, you can remain anonymous. Persons sometimes will not want to give their names, which is perfectly all right, but know that they will receive some help and some guidance as to where they should look for help. And these are licensed clinicians, and that number is 1-866-202-HELP. Okay. I'm not seeing how I can share the slide, Joelle. So if you are controlling. So before we can help someone, we really need to understand what are some of the 4 emotional phases when a disaster occurs. Because if you're going to help, you need to understand what people are going through, and as well as ourselves. So when we're talking about these 4 stages, the first one is the heroic stage. Now we all kind of know about this one, and that occurs when the impact of a disaster happens. Go back to the other slide, please, Joelle. It occurs when it's characterized sometimes by a shell-shocked community, which we are now, even though we haven't had the kind of disasters like other disasters, but this is a disaster for us being quarantined in the house or not being able to do a lot of social communications. So we have needs for food, water, and shelter. Grief and loss are also very strong at this stage, and heroic people respond by wanting to help their fellow man by doing rescuing, offering needed supplies, and most of all, generally giving the best of themselves to meet dire needs of those in the community. And a kind of an example is like the firemen who went up into the stricken Twin Towers after 9/11 attacks, even endangering themselves or even losing their lives, because the heroic part of that was still kicking in. Some of those behaviors also, particularly first responders, such as the search and rescue teams, they work very long hours to rescue and assist survivors, even though their own homes may have been demolished in the disaster. What are some of those resources? I'm so very glad you asked me that question. I appreciate you, a smart group. Services such as the New Jersey Mental Health Cares call-in line, family groups, neighbors, and emergency teams on the scene are the most important sources of help in the first post-disaster hours. So keep that in mind. There are certain persons, such as disaster teams, family groups, neighbors, and emergency teams are the first to respond, usually within hours. Second stage. Now this is the honeymoon stage. From a few days after the disaster to probably about 6 months, depending on the disaster, a community tends to be in a honeymoon phase. What is the honeymoon phase? Well, I'm glad you can read along with me. These are survivors and their loved ones. They feel relief at survival, and often there is still an emotional high of, ooh, I survived, I can deal with the rest. Well, there's also a strong sense in the community of having shared a terrible experience, and that's what we're doing now, and live through it. People open their wallets with relative generosity. Survivors experience high expectations about the help they would get from official and government agencies, particularly towards rebuilding their lives, and partly because many promises are made to them at this stage. Sound familiar? What are some of those behaviors during the honeymoon stage? Well, it's easier to recruit volunteers during the honeymoon phase than later on, because those giving want to know how to give help, as well as material goods or money. At this stage also, survivors, with the help of volunteers, usually help to clear out and await the promise, clear out debris and await the promised help. Now, we get into the meat of it. Disillusionment. This is when reality sets in. The government puts conditions on the assistance they will give. Insurance companies find reasons not to pay out on the survivors' once greatest asset, which is their homes. And the media and some helping agencies go home. This phase can last from several months to up to 2 years or more. Look at what happened with Sandy. People even now are still rocking and reeling from the effects of Hurricane Sandy. So what are some of those behaviors? At this stage, survivors question aid and government agencies' promises, intentions, service deliveries, and achievement. And unfortunately, the grim reality is that it's a long and difficult road to be back to normal. People concentrate on building their own individual lives, solving individual problems. And at this point, I think that's where we are now. The feeling of shared community will be lost, all right? So important resources. Many of the outside agencies that were active at previous phases have now pulled out. Local agency sources of funding and assistance need to be explored by the community and possibly by individual families as well. So get ready, because we may have to do things on our own. And that's where programs like the New Jersey Mental Health Cares and ADAPT can be a great resource for everyone. And then the last stage is the reconstruction phase. And this could last for several years depending on the disaster. And again, we have no idea how long this will last. It may proceed at a snail's pace, and it could be probably not very interesting to the media. After a while, they will stop playing it up, or at least until anniversary days of the event happens. What are some of those emotions? The emotions that appear here can vary widely. Number one, the status or emotional and financial of survivors can make a difference. The manner in which previous stages were handled. And number three, the actual level of resources that have come available. More resources equals less survivor stress, and the reverse, not converse. And the reverse is also true. Survivors begin to realize they are ultimately responsible for solving the problems of their own lives. If community efforts towards recovery are not visible, individuals are more at risk for succumbing to PTSD and other serious mental and physical challenges. So we do have our work ahead of us. And again, contacting your local agencies is something that we're all responsible to do. I know that there are many, many different ones out there available, and we must be diligent about what is available. We have to do our homework. And I think now that we're all, because we're all sitting home, we may have a little extra time to do that. I don't know about you guys, but as far as I'm concerned, working from home, I'm busier than when I was in the office. So again, we must take care of our mental health, because some days it's very, very challenging just to get up, because you're on the computer all day. Some people are having eye problems now. Some people have circulatory problems with swollen ankles and legs and feet. So again, we must take care of ourselves, because as I've said to you many times before in presentations, what do they tell you when you're on an airplane? If the oxygen mask drops down, you have to put it on your own self first before you can help someone else. So please take care of yourselves. Just so you know, and I like to give credit, this presentation of the 4 phases was adopted from the psychological first aid, and that's something you may want to look into. It's a short course that will equip you to enter a disaster relief setting or situation and offer psychological first aid, promoting safety, calmness, empowerment, connectedness, and hope to survivors. Now, I don't know if they'll be doing any work virtually. I know for the mental health first aid that we provide, they're working on that, but I'm not sure when that will be ready. And I'm not sure about this either, but I think this is an excellent course, if we ever get back to a semblance of what we had before, psychological first aid would be something you might be interested in as well. So I'm going to go through now the 10 commandments for coronavirus prevention in faith communities. And again, I give credit. The Reverend Dr. Kevin Muriel, Senior Pastor of Cascade United Methodist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, published the following article. And yes, if you're interested, you will have a copy of this presentation. Just give the old girl credit. If you're going to take it, give me credit. All right. So the article stated, to help him address concerns, he convened a meeting with several top health professionals, including his friend, Leadership Atlanta classmate, Dr. Sandra Elizabeth Ford, who currently serves as director of the DeKalb County Board of Health, and she's the interim director of the Fulton County Board of Health. Now, during that meeting, they discussed best practices for faith communities, and the next couple of slides will show you what they came away with, the takeaway. Before we do that, I just want to give you a little clip to bring some laughter to your lives. So here we go. Can't hear the sound, but okay. Here we go. Okay, so just a little bit to give you a little levity, because it's not every day is not going to be a bad day. Hopefully you will find something to smile about. Thank you. All right, so number one of the commandments, thou shalt not panic. It's important that we educate our congregants using facts, not myths. And I tell folks, stop listening to your girl or your boy who got the wrong information. They already jacked up. They're trying to, they're not helping you to get better or feel better. If you want real information, go to WHO. What is WHO? The World Health Organization. That's where you can find credible information. Every news caster or show, they're not going to always have the most current information, or it seems like everyone wants to one up each other. But again, if you want credible information, contact the World Health Organization or the Mental Health Association in New Jersey. What a shameless plug. So there you have it. The reality is that we should always be cautious during flu season, no matter what. But coronavirus should not cause us to panic. Health experts suggest that prevention is the best course of action. Commandment number 2. Thou shalt clean thy hands regularly and thoroughly. All right. The number one recommendation was to wash your hands thoroughly as often as possible with soap, at least for 20 seconds or more. The CDC also recommends refrain from touching your eyes or mouth before you have washed your hands. Number 3, thou shalt engage in social distancing. That's self-explanatory. Number 4, thou shalt make sanitizer available. Keep it with you, keep it for others, keep it in your purse, keep it in your car, just keep sanitizer available. Commandment number 5, or you can also go to the cdc.com or the New Jersey Department of Health for up-to-date information on New Jersey. Thank you so much for adding that. Number 5, thou shalt love thy neighbor and care for thyself. In Matthew 22:39, Jesus says the second greatest commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself. If you are sick or experiencing cold-like symptoms, please love your neighbor enough to stay home. Commandment number 6, thou shalt put signs in restrooms. So obviously this was done before we all had to be home. But again, anyway, placing signs in restrooms, reminding people to wash their hands thoroughly. I mean, let's keep this real, okay? You know how I am. How many times have you been in the bathroom with someone and they come right on out there and go on out the door and they ain't washed up nothing? Let's keep it real. We know somebody, okay? So when we ever get back, please remind people, and don't be ashamed to tell them, excuse me, there is some soap and water over here. I'm just saying, y'all can throw me out, I'm almost done. Number 7, thou shalt not discriminate. That's self-explanatory as well. Number 8, thou shalt be considerate of vulnerable populations, and that's what we are all dealing with pretty much, vulnerable populations. And at this point, we're vulnerable as well. Number 9, thou shalt be wise with transportation. Obviously, this was done ahead of time. However, if we ever get back, we have to be very careful because I don't know when it'll be that we can really be a group of folks to pray and do things together. It may be a while, so we just need to be very careful. And number 10, certainly not least, thou shalt pray. After following every commandment and being as cautious as possible, we are people who believe in the power of prayer. We should pray for God to heal our land, pray for the families already affected by COVID-19, pray for our leaders and health professionals working diligently to contain and respond to the virus. We should pray and care for each other. Remember, it's about prevention, pretty much more prevention. So don't panic because this too shall pass. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to share your screens with you today. Joe, I know there's some information in the chat that people had questions. And so without further ado, I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. This has been my time. I'll be here all week, folks.
Thank you so much, Laverne, for that wonderful presentation. Just an FYI, I put some information about COVID-19 info centers. You can look at that. The New Jersey Poison Center and 211 have partnered to provide information. And then we'll also be with the email with the presentation later on that we will send. We will include some resources, different links regarding COVID-19 and other resources that can be useful for you. I'd like to welcome Ganera to lead our next part of our presentation, the think tank time.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you again, Laverne, for walking us through those commandments and even just the necessity that I kind of heard a little resoundingly when we had our first time of grouping was the necessity to care for ourselves first. And although we all know that, I think one of the groups mentioned this is a time to revitalize ourselves, to reignite ourselves, and at time, withdraw yourselves. I want to acknowledge that at times we have to give ourselves permission to slow down what we're outputting to care for ourselves so that we are well first before we care for others. So a lot of information was shared by Laverne. And so now we're going to go into a think tank time. This is going to be a time when we regroup and we're going to address the question, how will you apply what you learned today in the following areas. So for some of us, we are here from a personal perspective. Maybe we have family or relationships where individuals are directly impacted by COVID-19 through loss of finances or through loss of life, or someone is in recovery, someone's in the hospital. And we all know how that can wane on your mental, emotional, psychological, and even physical wellness. So you may be coming from a personal perspective. We welcome you sharing with your group what you learned today, how it's going to impact you in how you deal personally. Professionally, we have quite a few of us that are here in professional roles. Some of our roles are duplicative today. Most of us are all here personally because we're human and we're in this social distancing and quarantine. For those of us that are here professionally, what will the information you gain today, how will that impact those you're serving in your faith-based organizations or in your community or yourself? Again, we're looking at this being an opportunity for us to invest in ourselves and keep ourselves well. And then the spiritual component, we never want to ignore that. How is this going to impact your spirituality and those that you care for in your spiritual or faith-based communities? So Joelle is going to group us again, and we are going to address those conversations. We're going to ask that someone does be the recorder and the presenter or speaker when we return, so that we can all share these nuggets and really empower each other to continue on as we are called to be servants in this role, whether in a faith-based aspect or in your community. So at this time, Joel, you can go ahead and regroup us. If you have questions, you can still inquire by chat, and we'll regroup. I think we allocated 10 minutes for this time. So please dig deep, and we look forward to hearing all of your responses in summary.
All right, Gwenera, I believe everyone's back, so you can start.
I hope everyone's think take time was resourceful and an opportunity to really share and collaborate on your learnings. So
we couldn't hear each other.
Oh, you probably had to unmute each other yourself, because whenever you go into
and
group,
nobody did.
Oh, okay. All right. So hopefully some of what you've learned will be conveyed by the reporting out of each group. If not, and you feel like you're not represented, please at the end jump in and offer your perspective on learnings and how you're going to allow that to impact you personally, professionally, and spiritually. So what group wants to start? Joel, was there 11? How many groups were there this time?
Yeah, same thing. There were 11.
Okay, 11 groups. All right, so
one.
Yeah, group number 1, 2, or 3, can we have you go? We recognize because of time we won't have everyone, but if we can have someone from either group 1, 2, or 3 ready to report out and share, that would be awesome.
Hi, I'm Ashley Cruz. I'm from Montclair Health Department. I'm a health educator there. It was 3 of us in my group, I believe, and our highlight was the 10 COVID commandments, because we felt that it hit us professionally, and spiritually. Because we all work with the community, we believe it's really important to use the 10 commandments to be able to give back to the community by providing them with information to ease their minds and to help them throughout this time.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Okay, group 4, 5, 6. Can we get a representative from one of those groups, 4, 5, or 6? Group 4, 5, or 6. If not, we're going to move on. We really want to hear the learnings. There was a lot of information shared, and each person's insight is going to be instrumental in even reinforcing what Laverne presented to us. Okay, we're going to move on. Group 7, 8, or 9. Do we have a representative from one of those groups, 7, 8, or 9? I don't know, did everybody leave?
No, we're still here.
I think it might be, we don't remember what number we were.
Oh,
that's
okay. So you know what? So let's make it a free forum then. Let's get 3 more updates from groups.
Hi, everybody. This is Deacon Ingles.
Hi, Deacon Ingles.
Hello.
Yes, in my group, I had John, Reverend T, Reverend Antella, and Deacon Dixon. And with this, we all came to a place that the 10 Commandments was very good, and what we're doing is very key on how the 10 Commandments is in how we apply it to ourselves first, because in it I did share about where I have been, what I'm going through, you know, especially with the amputation of my left leg, and how a lot of people at the place where I was, they was telling me that I was different than others because I didn't let that get me down. And in this, we can't let this this virus or whatever is going on get us down. We have to be we have to be girded with courage, and so that we can help others and be about you know what the Creator has for us to do. You know, and you know, that's all I have to say because I'm getting choked up now.
Oh, well, thank you, Deacon Ingles. We received that. We receive all that you indicated, both in your personal experience and as a group, of making sure we're courageous and staying rooted in the Word and rooted in Him, so that we can be empowered to continue on. So thank you, and be encouraging to others. So thank you, Deacon Ingles. Any other groups want to represent and present learnings and how you will apply it? Okay, so I'll share from my group. We were group 11, and the 3 highlights were taking care of ourselves, to take care of our community, to make sure that we establish or reestablish boundaries, that we look for harmony, that although we're sequestered to our homes and are more home-based, that we just don't have this 24-hour clock of working, that we establish again boundaries and balance and taking care of ourselves so we can take care of the community, kind of the oxygen mask. Second highlight was the mental health piece. And for those that are faith-based leaders, the responsibility to some degree to provide those you shepherd with the resources, the hotline number, and to also know that as spiritual faith-based leaders, to connect with one another, to be a resource at not just the front line, but for some of those that are also in leadership and are pouring out and have responsibility in that capacity. And then the other highlight was get the facts, to really encourage people to seek out credible sources, to not subscribe to all of the sensationalism that is primarily fed by various media agencies, and to know that CDC, WHO, and the Mental Health Association are the platforms and agencies and repositories for factual information, and to make sure we share that with all those we serve, whether it's personally, professionally, or spiritually. All right, is anyone else, any other group before we kind of shift to our next segment? Okay, well, thank you all. I'm going to return it to you, Jess, to advance us through the remaining component of the roundtable. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ganera, and thank you to everyone who participated today. I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Laverne, for that wonderful presentation, that wonderful information on how to proceed. I just want to, I don't think that I saw any questions. If you want to just write your questions in the chat box. I know we're over time already. So what we could do is if you type in your questions, we can send it out via email along with this presentation and resources to help you navigate going further. I'm also going to send an email and evaluation, but I believe Joelle is also putting it in the chat box, a link to our evaluation for today so we can improve on our webinar and our services in the future. It is completely anonymous, and please, if you could complete that so we can get your feedback and improve for the future. We do have these roundtable trainings every 3 months. And then the next one that we're gonna have is actually, it's on your screen, it's July 28th. It's going to be regarding gambling and online gaming addiction. We always have our trainings at 10 in the morning. At this time, we don't know whether it's going to be in person or webinar, but we do have your emails now, so you will get notification of any future meetings and events and trainings via email. Our next Interfaith Committee meeting, we invite you to join us if you are interested in planning these events or participating in this committee. You may join us on June 9th at 10 a.m. Again, meeting invitation will be sent via email as well. Just want to also mention a couple of other things. Today, Laverne Williams is having a Thankful Tuesday. She has this every week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. And maybe Laverne, if you can just say a little spiel about it and how people can register or can sign up for that.
Okay, you can actually go to my Facebook page, Laverne Williams, and Thankful Tuesdays was birthed out of the idea, again, because people were getting such horrible news and doom and gloom. I wanted to create a safe space where people could come and learn, learn different resources, and hear a guest speaker every week. And so it changes every week. We've been very successful thus far. Again, it's Tuesday, Thankful Tuesdays at 2. Go on my Facebook page, Laverne Williams, and the information is there. I posted it, and hopefully I'll see you all there at 2 o'clock. Our guest this week is the Reverend Dr. Walter L. Parrish III, who was the former pastor of the Union Baptist Church in Montclair, and he is now the pastor of the Northside Baptist Church in Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laverne. And just another note, May 17th is No Menthol Sunday. And I just want to mention that's a national day of observance dedicated to educating congregants and community members about tobacco, vaping, and the role of flavors such as menthol. We'll be sending out information via our social media outlets. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And so please check us out. We have two accounts, Essex Adapt and incorruptible.essex. I'll send that out via email as well, all those links. But we do post on a regular basis different facts, information, articles, our upcoming events on our social media. So if you could please like and share our information there, we would greatly appreciate that. And last but not least, I think that's everything. Yeah, so Elise is just mentioning that there's a toolkit for No Menthol Sunday. I can probably share that through email as well. And again, if you have any questions, you can just type it in the chat and we'll answer it via email. I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again real soon. Thank you. Have a great day. Enjoy. It's a beautiful day today.